So EFT works by tapping on specific acupressure points on your face and torso. So I'm going to fess up, it looks a little bit weird. But what that does is it generates an electrical signal that travels the stress response center of your brain, a part of your brain called the amygdala, and it essentially turns it off. And there's some really good research behind this about how effective EFT is for things like stress and anxiety and PTSD. It takes those high intensity emotions and brings them down, but equally it can boost your mood as well, so you can go in the other direction. But it's also super sneaky. And what happens is, as you are tapping on how you are feeling, you are automatically thinking about what has gone on that has caused you to feel that way. So for instance, when I first started doing EFT, I was tapping for stress. I was in a very stressful corporate role. And I would sit in my car at lunchtime and just tap for feeling stressed. But what I didn't realize was that as I tapped for feeling stressed, I was thinking about the reasons why I felt stressed. Things like feeling trapped, feeling like I couldn't leave that role and get paid the same amount of money somewhere else. Because I didn't think I was good enough to do anything else. I had convinced myself that I couldn't possibly do any other role. What I was doing is incredibly niche. It wasn't. But I had a real thing about not being good enough for anything else, and it kept me stuck. So I was thinking about all those things as I was tapping for stress, and they were getting worked on. And the way that happens is that you start to rewire your neural pathways with EFT. So I'd like you to imagine a kiddie at school, and they have to give a presentation, and perhaps they get something a bit wrong, perhaps a class laughs at them, or the teacher says something a bit derogatory. And in that moment, that kiddie's going to feel emotions, a surge of emotions. Now, whenever we feel emotion, our brain, which I'd like to think of as a biocomputer, goes, oh, hello, something really important is happening. And it creates a little electronic folder, and it puts the emotions in the folder. So in this example, our kiddie's probably feeling shame, embarrassment, humiliation, maybe even anger. Those emotions will go in that freshly created electronic folder. There are 3 other things that go in the folder with the emotions. The next one is the physiological response, how your body reacts. So in this example, he's probably getting a very flushed face, probably feeling a bit shaky, a bit sick, a bit sweaty. They go in the folder. His brain will be taking a movie or a snapshot of what's going on, and because there's laughter in our example, there's probably a soundtrack to go along with it. That goes in the folder. And then in that moment, our kiddie makes a decision about himself or about the world in general. And that might be something along the lines of, I'm no good at public speaking, or public speaking isn't safe, which is bonkers because we all love public speaking. That will go in the folder. Now, I don't know about you, but once I've made a decision, I love to be right. I love proving myself right. And so my brain will actively look out for stuff that reinforces the decision I've made. So I can go, I'm right. And because it's looking out for stuff, it will find stuff. It's the same thing if you hear something from a position of authority over and over again. You hear it or see it enough. What starts off as a decision turns into a belief. And beliefs are incredibly powerful. People will die for their beliefs, they'll kill for their beliefs. But the main thing to remember here is they are just beliefs, they're not truths. And so we can change them, and that's where the rewiring comes in. So I'd like to imagine that our kiddie's all grown up, he's got a job, and one day his boss comes up to him and says, there's an amazing opportunity for a promotion. You'd be fantastic at it. It's more money, it's less hours, it's in the Bahamas. And our grown-up kiddie's like, oh my goodness, that's so amazing. How do I get the promotion? And his boss says, it's really, really simple. All you have to do is give a presentation. And as soon as those words leave our boss's mouth, our grown-up kiddie's brain goes, hang on, I've been there before. And it'll go rifling through the folders, it will find the relevant one, and it will press play. And our grown-up kid is going to feel that surge of emotion. His body is going to start reacting as if he was back in the memory, even if he doesn't actually consciously remember it. And his little inner voice is going to pipe up with, I'm no good at public speaking. And then one of 2 things is going to happen. Either he's going to go for it, but he's so nervous, he completely messes it up and doesn't get a promotion. Or he just goes, I can't do it. And he doesn't get the promotion. Now, EFT is a little bit like running a virus scanner through your computer brain. and it finds the relevant folders and it takes the emotion out. If you remove the emotion from something, your brain goes, oh, not as important as I first thought it was. Okay, fine, carry on. And it allows you just to move through everything much more easily. So it doesn't take the memory away, it just diffuses it, if you like. So really, really powerful, because if you can find the triggers that cause you to get stressed or anxious in the first place, or if you have some trauma in your background that is keeping you stuck, then it's a really good thing. Yes, you can control how you feel. You can bring the emotion down very fast with EFT, but if you can find what is triggering that stress and anxiety in the first place and diffuse it, then it makes life so much simpler. Now, EFT is broken into two parts. There is a setup statement and then there is a round. And the setup statement starts, I was going to reposition my phone so you can, I've foolishly not thought of that. So a setup statement starts by tapping your karate chop point. And it's this outside edge of your hand, that fleshy outside edge, where you'd literally, karate kid someone. And it can be either hand, it can be both hands together. And as you tap this part of your hand, this karate chop point, you say a statement. And the statement begins, even though. And then you say whatever the emotion or the challenge is that you're facing. So it's a very broad example, even though I feel really stressed. And then you follow up with the positive. I deeply and completely accept myself. Say what? Why would you accept yourself for feeling all stressed? Well, a lot of the things we hear about these days are that we shouldn't feel stressed. We should feel calm. We should feel positive. But the reality is you do feel stressed. You do feel this emotion. That's just how it is. So instead of resisting it, which is going to make it persist, let's just meet it head on. Let's just say, okay, even though this thing is going on and I feel this way, actually, I'm okay, I accept myself. And as soon as you give yourself permission to feel it, your brain goes, oh, okay, carry on. And it just allows the healing to happen a lot faster. So you're going to repeat that statement 3 times, and the more specific you can be, the better. So the example I just gave is a really general example. Stressed about what? So a more specific example might be something like, even though I feel really stressed about what my boss said to me at work at lunchtime in the middle of the office in front of everyone, and it made me feel really small, I deeply and completely accept myself. Much more specific, yes? So you do that 3 times. Then you move on to a round. And a round starts with your eyebrow point. So where your eyebrow begins at the top of your nose. Again, it can be either side, it can be both sides together. We're tapping acupressure points, which are meridian lines, which run equally up and down both sides of your body. So it doesn't matter, when you're on a side point, it doesn't matter which side you're on. You can even switch sides halfway through the tapping. It's absolutely fine. So eyebrow. Then you've got side eye, which is the outside corner of your eye on the bony eye socket. If you're tapping your temple, you've gone too far. You want to be on the bony eye socket. Then you've got under eye, again on the bony eye socket. Under nose, which is exactly where it says on the tin. Chin, which is the groove between your lower lip and your chin point. Then you've got collarbone. So if you pop your fingers in that triangular hollow at the base of your neck, pull them down by about 1 inch and sideways by about 1 inch, those are your collarbone points. Sometimes the easiest thing to do here is to make a fist, tap where you'd find the knot of a tie. Then you've got underarm, so about 4 inches below your armpit where a woman's bra strap would be. And then finally top of head. So if you pop your fingers on tops of your ears, draw 2 lines up to the top of your head where your fingers meet is where you tap. So essentially the crown of your head. And you just keep going round, hence the round. Now as you tap these round points, you're going to be saying what we call reminder phrases. So essentially what this means is you're just saying stuff to remind yourself of what's going on and how you feel. Now, if you are in the middle of feeling an emotion, if you're in the middle of feeling angry or stressed or anxious, you don't actually have to say a word. You can just tap and feel. The words are used to bring up the emotion so we can clear it out. So if you're sitting in the emotion, you don't need to bring it up. The words are much more relevant when you're wanting to release some stuff around a memory or an event or a belief. Now, as you tap through these points, you'll see from the tap along videos in my channel, most of the time we start off with quite negative statements or sort of negative affirmations. We are talking about, even though I need to feel stressed, I feel all this pressure. I should feel this pressure. It's important I feel this pressure. And that can worry some people because they're like, oh my goodness, I'm tapping in what I'm trying to get rid of, which is a fair assumption. But what we're actually doing is we're bringing it up so we can let it go. As Louise Hay very famously once said, honey, to clean your house, you have to see the dirt. And that is what we're doing. And then once we've cleaned out some of that dirt, then we can start to reframe, then we can start to bring some positives in on top. Now, that's not to say you can't do positive tapping. You absolutely can. You're going to feel absolutely amazing with it. But I do liken it to polishing a turd. It's going to feel lovely and shiny. It's going to be all beautiful on the outside, but there's a load of shit underneath, and it's the shit we want to get rid of it so we don't keep getting triggered. Now, as you do the tapping, you may experience what I'm going to call side effects, because I don't know what else to call them. It might be things like tingling in your fingers. It might be things like wanting to yawn or wanting to burp. You may start to feel very hot or very cold. You might start to feel very tired. You might start to get a bit emotional and teary. All of that is absolutely fine. All of it is absolutely normal. It's just signs that energy is starting to shift around, because we are energetic beings. Everything is energy. It's just quantum sciencey fact. And when our energy is flowing freely, we feel good. We are in our flow. But when that energy becomes blocked or disrupted in some way, then we feel less good. So when you get these side effects, it's just a sign that you kind of hit something and things are shifting around a little bit. But equally, you might not get any of those side effects, and that's fine too. We're all different. Now, if you would like some more information on how to get the most out of EFT, because EFT works every single time. It's not, you don't have to believe in EFT for it to work. It's a bit like gravity. It's going to work regardless. But we do come up against some subconscious blocks that can prevent it from progressing, can prevent it from being effective. And so if you want some more information on how you can get the most out of your EFT, I'm going to drop a link in the comments just to grab yourselves the Beginner's Guide to Tapping, which is completely free. So I hope that's useful. Got any questions? Give me a shout. Toodles!